Zombie Escape is a game mode where the original idea is to get away from zombies by using different paths and vehicles. Unfortunately, nowadays Zombie Escape turned into Zombie Runner since most of the maps have the only one way to escape from walkers, not to mention that most maps don't even have a backstory. Basically, over time, the original idea of different creative ways to escape from zombies evolved into running from one place to another, as well as endlessly shooting at walkers until the trigger opens the passage. In such conditions, the probability of survival does not depend on your skill, but on the number of surviving players working as a single mechanism and coordinated by a person who knows the map best of all. Of course, the mapmakers are trying to diversify these maps by adding bosses and elements of KZ, but the main idea in the variability of the paths has already been lost. That is why in this video I want to talk about an example of an ideal zombie escape map in which all the canons are observed. And to be more precise, the monologue will be about a map zombie escape paradise. July 23, 2009, 10:23 Zulu. The South Pacific has long been of interest to the Americans, as it has traditionally provided a haven for radical South Asian terrorist cells. As a SEALs operator, you were sent undercover on an oil tanker to investigate local terrorism in the pristine Wilmakia archipelago. Unfortunately, your tanker hit a World War II-era mine that degraded the hull. Upon arriving to shore, it was clear that there were no humans. Instead, this place seems to have been a terrorist biochemical facility gone awry. A virulent rabies strain had been developed at Wilmakia and has since spread to every island. A crewmate has been bit by an infected rat and quickly turned. You must reach the local fishing village for extraction and await further orders. Paradise is over. The author of the map offers you many ways to reach the safe zone. You start disoriented in sunken ship with only your crewmates and weapons to begin with. There are two ways out of the sunken oil tanker. You can break out of the lower deck by destroying the weakened hull, or take another route through a damaged vent and out the other end of the ship. After that, you have two options. You can swim straight toward the first island by your own, or you can shoot the debris off of a sunken Zodiac, where it then rises to the water surface, and it will take you all the way to the fishing village. Let's look at the first option. You swim to the island on your own and see a high cliff in front of you. You have three options to get to the top. First, you can choose the left and right ramps, as they are the safer routes. However, climbing them is long enough, about 15 seconds. Therefore, there is a faster, but dangerous route, a rope to the top. Climbing the rope is a dangerous action, as the rope will randomly break within a 10-second period, and anyone still climbing could fall to their death. If you go up sideways, it will take about 7 seconds, but if you go up straight, you will not have enough time and fall down. Entering the interior of the island will lead to new problems, as landmines will throw you off the island or make damage, and wood traps will encircle unwary victims. There is no escape on this island, so you need to get to the second island. The author of the map offers you 4 options, but in fact there are 5 of them. First, you can take a rope tram to the second island, which will be the fastest possible way. You can take the man's route and swim, but it is the slowest possible way, which will probably get you zombified. You can also jump over a very tall rock formation to the second island, or take an old and dangerous cable that connects the 2 islands, and which will break 10 seconds after you jump on it. But there is also one more creative, the second fastest, but very risky way to get to the next island. And this way is possible thanks to the bus near the gas station. The author of the map warns you in advance about the stupidity of this idea and hints that this is not a Fast and Furious movie. However, we ignore the warning, because we know that we are playing the role of Vin Diesel, who is not afraid of any pain. We have successfully performed a deadly stunt. However, I came up with another, quite creative way to use the bus, and to be exact, use the bus as a barrier to zombies or late survivors. You can park the bus on the edge of a cliff, but experienced zombies will be able to jump over the side of the bus. Therefore, I have a deadly trick in store, even more difficult to implement than the first one, but, believe me, it's worth it. This trick is to turn the bus 90 degrees in the air and park it on the tall rock formation like this. There is a high probability that the bus will roll over and you will not be able to get out. However, thanks to the trick, you will hold back zombies for at least 20 seconds, since they will have no choice but to swim on the water themselves. On the second island you will find even more mines than on the first, so be careful. As you remember, your mission is to investigate local terrorism, but you do not find anything on this island. In the distance you see a volcanic island, which serves as the only solution in the investigation of terrorism. So you have 4 options to choose to get to the last island. First option is to surf down the cliffside to the V-22 Osprey waiting below in the village. Second option is to jump into the water and free the Zodiac boat from the cable which is attached to at the dock. But you can also use these options if you run from the boat that you used at the beginning of the operation, and which immediately led you to the fishing village. Third option is to use the hang gliders which need a windy weather to fly on them. And, finally, you can swim around the buoy towards the last island like a man and probably get zombified. Let's look at the first option. You launch the aircraft and fly straight to the target. However, after a while, homing air defense will work, which is aimed at you. Therefore, you have no choice but to jump into the water before the aircraft explodes. By doing so you will only cover 60% of the way, which is not very good. Option 2 includes the use of a boat, which is located on the PA and is hanging by a cable on the dock and fillet house. You need to free the boat from the cable. It seems that this is the best option, but do not rush to rejoice. There is a dangerous predator in the ocean that will chase you. You need to eliminate the shark before it gets to you. Then you are free to go all the way to Wilmakia Island. Third option includes gliders. Hang gliders will only help you to reach 40% of the path if you don't use the knowledge. All hang gliders can take lift from wind updrafts, created from when wind currents hit cliff walls and move upward. There is a secret wind updraft against the second island's cliff. All you have to do is make a left U-turn once you get into the hang glider, and fly alongside the cliff towards spawn. Gain enough altitude and you'll be able to fly all the way to Wilmakia Peak. This option is the fastest possible. You can even land the hang glider down into the volcano, but I don't know why. However, if you don't have enough control skills, you can use a trick by sliding along the island towards the cliff closest to the Wilmakia Island. This way you will cover 60% of the way, which is not bad, because you didn't waste your time surfing down to the village and launching the aircraft for 10 seconds. When you get to the last island, you see a volcano in front of you. After climbing to the top of the volcano you see a secret passage to the room. You can use the side platforms to get inside. However, in order not to waste time, you can make such crosshair lineup and slide along the wall using the buttons ASD together. After you go down you see a room with various settings, and a lever that activates the activity of the volcano to further destroy the virus within the radius of the volcano. Yes, you heard right, the ash of the volcano is able to destroy some viruses, but at the same time it is deadly toxic and hazardous to health. After completing the mission to eliminate the zombie virus, you remain in a safe place to wait for USAF pararescue. Someone will ask me why I don't show exactly the same map, but in the CSGO version, because it is available in the Steam Workshop. The fact is that on the CSGO version this map has many bugs, some of which you can see on the screen. The reason is that CSGO has slightly different entity limitations and behavior, and it's much easier to remake such maps from the scratch. In addition to the Zombie Escape Paradise map, there are several more interesting and functional maps that I can talk about if you write about it in the comments. Although I know for sure that no one will write about it. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.